Isn't
So who
the
wants to get
plural
this
of
party
louse
started?
lice? Aren't you lices?
Whatever gang signs you have. Anyway.
All right.
Hi.
So tonight we have a Renaissance man and a half. Gerry LaFemina.
Gerry.
Gerry. He plays in a really awesome band called The Downstrokes. We've played with before. They are from Maryland. He actually grew up in New York, so he's a diehard New Yorker. And cool dude. And on top of the band, his spoken word poetry, he also throws this mega fun punk festival, which I think is going to be like the new Rebellion in a couple years. It is on its way up. It is an awesome festival. We had a blast when we went last year, called Savage Mountain in Maryland.
Savage.
Savage. So savage. So, anything you guys want to add to that? Did I leave anything out for Gerry? What else?
I believe Mercedes, his partner and the fiance, is pretty awesome.
And the donuts.
She makes badass donuts. She makes some badass donuts. Buy them.
Yes. Just like wonderful people. They actually, like when we went to Savage Mountain last year, I was really impressed in how well they treated the bands and how well everything was organized. The sound was good. Everybody was taken care of. It was a really supportive environment. Everybody was networking. There were like no bands weren't talking to each other. It was just the whole culture of the environment really, really cool. So yeah, so we are so excited to have him on the show tonight. He is an awesome dude. So we can't wait to see Gerry tonight. Gerry.
Big fan of the Downstrokes. Huge fan of them. Love the music. How would you give us a little background history on the Downstrokes, since many people might not know? Actually, I don't know when did the band start? How long you've been doing it for? You know.
The band started about 5 years ago, and I'm the only member surviving from that time. And the original lineup featured the lead guitarist of my old band out here, the Furious Hours, Mike Holland. Mike runs his own business and just couldn't make everything work. When he quit, there was a downtime, and our drummer left at that time and joined Middle Age Brigade, and Robin joined the band, and we were working with the original bass player, Aaron Hole, and he left the area. I mean, one of the hardest things about being in a band in a small town is that people leave. But this lineup has been steady for over a year. And we are actually on Monday going to be in Pittsburgh for 4 days, holed up for 14-hour days each day in a recording studio, recording the next album.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. This is such a great time to be doing stuff like that, too.
Exactly. And I've been seeing your live streams, too. And by the way, they're awesome, by the way. I'm so glad that you guys are on, you're still out, especially during these times, doing the live streams and still just doing a Facebook Live and everything. I think it's great.
It's been a lot of fun. We just got approached by a photography studio that wants to start having live music. And so he was like, hey, would you guys come in and, use our soundboard and let us, be our guinea pigs? And I was like, sure, we'll live stream it, and I'll run 2-track stereo off his board and record the whole thing, too, on audio.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's awesome.
That's pretty
So
cool.
you would say that the quarantine has been treating you pretty well in terms of creativity and productivity from home?
Yeah, we we were working on a whole bunch of new songs up until early March. We had really we had probably had about 7 songs since the EP, and we were excited. We were excited about it, and then of course we had to be forced into not hanging out, not getting together. And in that time, I mean, fortunately, everybody was writing, and Greg would send me, the bass player, would send me, here's a progression, do something with it. And then I would muck around for a couple of days with it, and then record a demo. And then when things started to open up again here in end of April, early May, we sort of just jumped in full force.
Actually, you just brought up something I was actually interested in, which is kind of a spin-off question here. The writing process, does it usually start with you, or is it like a band collaboration? Like one person might have an idea, then you might add to it, or maybe like the drummer, he has a beat, and then maybe you guys jump into it, or you have a guitar riff, and then you show the band it. How's your writing process with? How does that work with you guys?
Well, up until about 4 months ago, I pretty much wrote everything. But as Greg and Robin have gotten more comfortable with the band, they've been asserting their capacity to do some writing. And so the new record has 2 songs that started with Greg with riffs or progressions in some way that then he sort of says, do something with. And I kind of use that as a base and then play around until something strikes me. Robin came to me with a song and a title, but no lyrics. He said, it's called Unsafe at Any Speed. And I was like, oh, okay. And we went to see Wesley Stace, John Wesley Harding.
Stupid.
So, yeah, there's something I love, good food makes me want to cook.
Yeah.
Good poems makes me want to write poems. Seeing good bands, seeing you guys, seeing the Nuclears, seeing the Queers, makes me want to write music. And John Wesley Harding, Wesley Stace, he's a really amazing lyricist. And so while the 4 of us were sitting there, I had this title, and I just started to write down. I had the riff, and I had a title, and I just started to write lyrics to it, which was just really amazing. And I handed it over to Robin halfway through the concert, and he looked at it, and he's like, did you just do that here? And I was like, using the pencil and the menu? I was like, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's all. I love just on-the-spot stuff like that. Awesome. Yeah,
and you never know when creativity just strikes you.
Exactly. I was once pulled over. My other life is as a poet, of course, and I was once pulled over on I-68 traveling towards Morgantown, and a police officer came to my window and he said, have you been drinking? And I said, no. And he said, well, you were driving erratically. And I said, oh. And I held up an envelope and a pen, and I had been holding the envelope on the center of the steering wheel, and I was writing a poem. And so I said to him, oh, I'm sorry, I was writing a poem. And you could tell the police officer that had never appeared in any training. And he just sort of looked at me and he was like,
what do I do?
He looked at me and said, you shouldn't do that. And he just walked back to his car.
That's funny.
It would have been so much easier if you were just drunk driving.
Yeah, really?
So much easier.
Oh, man. That's great. That's an awesome story. Wow.
That's awesome.
All right, Val, your turn.
So I wanted to kind of touch on, for those at home, Gerry is the mastermind behind Savage Mountain, which is a punk festival in Maryland. Last year it was in Frostburg at a place called Dante's, I believe.
Yep.
And it was just from our personal experiences, I can say it was another one of those things that we are very honest people, you know, we don't like to slam people or anything, but I will say it was one of the most well-run, open, friendly. He took care of all the bands, you know, everybody was taken care of from the minute we signed on to when we got there. People were helping us look for hotels, and like, I think it was just so refreshing to see people helping each other. And not only was it bands, but it's also like independent vendors and other people who were there as well. So I just wanted you to kind of touch on like what inspired you to start Savage Mountain, and what were maybe some challenges along the way that you had, that you faced, and how did you
All of them. All
I
of
know.
the
I
challenges.
run events. I know how hard it is. I know, and I love to hear other people's stories. So, go for
Well,
it.
first of all, the biggest challenge this year has been COVID-19. I mean,
Yes.
I didn't want to cancel. This was our 5th year, you know, our big 5th anniversary. We had Richie Ramone scheduled. We had the Huntington scheduled. And, of course, you guys were coming back. I got the idea. I had run a literary arts center here for the university. And after I stepped down, I suddenly had a lot of free time. And I was playing music, and I've been playing music here almost since I got here in 2004. And I started to go, you know, I had a bar, Dante's, that was pretty dead once the students left. I mean, from, you know, June, July, and August were pretty slow. And so the sound man, Charlie, and I were talking, and we sort of said, you know, I said to him one day, I said, how would you feel if I got a bunch of bands together and did like a festival? And he was like, as long as it don't cost us anything, okay. And so, and the other partner was like, that's crazy, but as long as it doesn't cost us anything, okay. And so, you know, I'm a firm believer you put your money where your mouth is. And if I make a promise, I keep it. And so I found a bunch of basically regional bands the first year. And it went great. I mean, the place was crowded, beer was drunk, people were sore and tired. At that point, we had a back line of like borrowed gear and stuff like that. And we had to learn. I mean, we learned a whole bunch. The first year was great, but it was also a train wreck in a lot of ways. Aaron, the Downstrokes original bass player, had put on some music festivals, so he had some background to help do things like organize where gear went and stuff like that. And the second year, we started to get the town involved. We started to get restaurants to donate food, and we basically doubled our budget. And with that came, you know, so we brought the Undead, we brought the Independent, and that year went great. And that year was really crowded. And by that time, too, like Reagan Youth had come and played Dante's. And so suddenly we kind of had a scene. You know, this is an interesting town because of where it's located, 2 hours from D.C. and Baltimore. We would get a lot of bands stopping in on tour. So Teenage Bottle Rocket has played around here a couple of times. Reno Divorce. You know, and so there's been this sort of little scene associated with this region for forever. American Speedway, the old speed band from Philly. And so, you know, we sort of started to bring those people in. And so after the second year, that's when we made the decision to go big. And so we brought Crypt Keeper 5 and Argyle Goolsby, who had been in Blitzkid, of course. and Blitzkid was from West Virginia, so a kind of regional connection. And again, the budget was bigger. But by then we started to get sponsors. We got Snubbed Records involved. We got Aces and Eights, skateboards. We got a beer sponsor, which helped. And once that, the other thing started to happen is that bands started to tell other bands, "You gotta check this out," and people started to tell people, like, "Oh man, you should have come out." And so suddenly, people from Baltimore and DC and Richmond, and as far as Denver and San Francisco started to come out. And so we were getting the things the city likes, which is heads in beds. The restaurants were finding the place, people were eating their food. And so when I would go around looking for these little sponsorships to help make it happen, the hotels, the restaurants, the town really started to support it. And last year when we had the Queers, of course, that the night of the Queer show, the place was packed. We were at capacity. And so, it's funny. The bar had they had looked at the year before, and saw that they had sold over the weekend like 950 PBRs. And so for the festival weekend, they figured, with the Queers, it's probably going to need more beer. And so they ordered like 1,100 cans of PBR. They sold out Friday night.
Wow.
And so, we had the support of the club. We had the support of people. And we have a team. It's nice to say that I'm the director, or I'm the promoter, or whatever it is. I'm the Grand High Poobah, something like that. But I couldn't do it without a team of people. Ronnie Moe from Middle Age Brigade and his wife Jackie Palesa, who's a local orthodontist. They give a lot of money. They give a lot of support. Mercedes, my partner, does a ton to help out.
She was just running around all over the place. Every time I turned around, she's like taking pictures. She's talking to this person. She was just excellent.
Does donuts.
The donuts are amazing, let me tell you.
They look so good. They look so good.
And we started to stretch out, too. So now we do a picnic every spring. And we actually are now talking about creating a nonprofit called Savage Mountain Punk Arts, which would be a little bit educational, and it would also allow us to get some grant funding for the festival, etc. And the other thing is that we're moving to Cumberland. We're moving to a bar called Mezzo's, which is 3 floors, and the street level floor, they call it a basement, but it's really street level. You actually sort of go down a little bit, so there are windows that are like chest high, looking out at the street. The street level of the club has capacity for about 350 people. A huge green room where all the band equipment can be, so it won't be stored out in a storage room and stuff like that. A side area in the far back for merch that's big enough for about 8 bands. You go up a floor, and that's the main floor, and that's where there'll be a bar for beer on the street level, the second level. And then the third level is a huge ballroom that we're actually going to use as a VIP. So people who buy VIP tickets, we're going to ask every band to sort of rotate, do a half an hour up there. There'll be some food. And the amazing thing is, it's a 1-block walk to the Ramada Inn of Cumberland. So people can just walk back and forth to their rooms. And so we're super excited about it.
And
it's only like 15 minutes away from us.
That is awesome. And I think you kind of sort of answered this, but if there's anything else you just want to add in terms of like the future of Savage Mountain, like what you want to do with it, your vision in the future.
Bigger and better.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, one of the things that is really important to us is to be intimate.
Mhm.
You know, I grew up as a CBGB kid in the 80s. I was at hardcore matinees. I remember Vinny Stigma going, Jerry, those are my grandpa's pigeons circling. You know, and I love that sense of community. I mean, that is really key to me. And so I never want to be something like we're at a fairgrounds and we have 8,000 people. I don't want that. I want to be able to hang out with the Lousekast, and I want to be able to hang out with the Nuclears, and I want to be able to hang out with the Mud City Manglers, and I want to bring new bands in always. And so I want to get bigger and better, but I also want it to be where people go, I was there. I was there when the Queers played in front of 175 people. Or, you know, I was there when Sloppy Seconds came, or whoever it is that comes. And we also want bands to go, I want to be there. Like, yeah, it's not huge, but it's cool. And that's worth it to me. And so, you know, I'm really grateful. I was talking about the festival to Field Day, and I was talking to Doug Carrion, and he was like, Gerry, you know, what you're doing is so cool. We didn't work it out to make us be there. And that to me is really, I mean, and that's what I love about punk rock. That's what I love about scene. You know, I remember touring in the 80s, and, you know, it would be, you know, 10 people, you know, 2 would be putting a fanzine together. One guy would do the posters. Somebody was renting a hall. Somebody had a crappy PA they brought out. 2 people worked security, and, you know, and somebody made the posters and put them up. And you know, and people would come out. You know, you hit, you know, Bozeman, Montana, and you think, nobody's going to be at this punk show. And there it is, 50 kids, because 50 kids wanted it to happen. And I think that's the whole thing. I mean, people want it to happen. You know, and I think that's really important. And so for me, I want it to be as big as it can get without ever losing that sense of intimacy and familiarity.
Very cool.
Babe.
So yeah, I have one question, and then I have then there's something else I want to run by you, Gerry. Yeah. All right, so so what were there bands that you wanted on the tour, like on the Savage Mountain, that you asked and were in it, but then like at the last minute had to cancel, which were like really cool bands that you really thought that like everyone would definitely be behind? So anybody that just missed the cut, you're like, oh, we just missed them having on the show.
You know, there were several bands that we talked to that we wanted. I mentioned Field Day. You know, we really wanted to make it work out. We were talking to Joey Shithead of DOA a couple of years ago, and I love Joey and I love DOA. And, you know, one of the things about getting any band that's coming from the West Coast, of course, is they have to be on tour. And then, you know, because we can't afford to fly them out from, you know, Vancouver or San Francisco or wherever. So they have to be on tour. And then, of course, the world has to, you know, the universe has to sync up in such a way that they're going to be on tour and they're going to be in the area on one of those 2 or 3 days. And so, you know, so there's always lots of near misses. We had Reno Divorce going to come this year. And suddenly Brent contacted me and was like, oh man, Rebellion Music Festival is the same weekend and we just got invited to Rebellion. Well, you know, as it turns out, neither festival happened this year now.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. The other thing I want to do, lightning round. Speaking of donuts, you have a lightning round questions for you, and I want I want you to answer the first thing that comes to your head. All right? You ready? All right. Number one, is it wrong for vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
No.
Favorite junk food?
Mercedes' Donuts.
Cake or pie?
Pie.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Coffee chocolate chip.
Ooh, sourdough or wheat?
Sourdough.
What's for dinner tonight?
Taquitos.
Stale Sour Patch Kids or fresh circus peanuts?
Oh, God. I don't think I've had a Sour Patch Kid ever, and I think I had a circus peanut once.
So neither. All right, great. Tapas or pasta?
Oh, God. I'm going to go with tapas.
All right.
Because of the multitude of options.
Yeah, the thing is
like my Italian grandmother's not going to come in my sleep and whack me on the back of the head.
That's fair. But there are also like several dozen versions of pasta that's just like, who comes up with this shit? Who comes up with
all the same shit, different shapes.
Right. So that was it for my little lightning round. I just wanted to. You did well. Good job, Gerry. Good job.
Yes. You can go on to the next round.
Wait, favorite wattage light bulb?
Don't start. I'll ask you. GE or LG. I don't think.
Your top 3 favorite albums of all time.
Okay. Top 3 favorite albums of all time. London Calling.
Okay.
London Calling. It's got 4 sides of brilliance. Second one. This is going to be. It's going to piss certain people off. Change Today by TSOL. It is not the Jack Grisham lineup. It's the Joe Wood lineup. But Mike Roach's bass playing on that is just stunning. And the guitar work is great. It's a punk record. But Joe's vocals have so much soul and so much balls. I love it. I love it. And I know people go, it's not real TSOL. I don't care. It's real good. Third one, let's go with Rocket to Russia.
Ramones. All right. All right. I like.
That's a good one.
And with a runner up of X Wild Gift.
All right. So we got the Ramones, Clash, and TSOL. That's
good choices, Gerry.
Great choices right there.
I approve. You get the Ginger Val stamp of approval.
You do.
Yes. Can I put it on my passport?
What's that? What's that word?
Not getting any stickers these days.
I actually thought you might have said
validation.
Oh, good. Well, he needs it.
Done some brownie points for Richie. For Richie Ramone. Maybe you want to throw the Richie album for one of the Ramones albums.
I love Too Tough to Die. I do, which is a Richie record. Although I always think of an old friend of mine, Mikey Leary, who was the drummer of the Corpsicles, saying, "Oh, that record should be called Too Stupid to Quit." But really, it was the album that revitalized that band, and
it was.
I'm really grateful for it. But and I love the record. But you know what? Those first 4 Ramones records were just instrumental to me being me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to see the Clash open for the Who during the Combat Rock tour.
Oh wow!
Or at Shea Stadium, and that was mind changing. That was
wow.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I'm a little bit jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I never got to see.
Yeah, but you're younger than me, and I'm jealous of that.
Well,
it just means I'm old, Ginger. It just means I'm
you're
old.
Not. You're never old.
Never old.
Punks don't get old. We just get better with age. We get wiser. We get more interesting. You know, it just keeps getting better and better.
Here.
So my question, going on off of that, is I wanted to kind of like switch gears and go into your poetry, because I'm a big fan personally of people who are Renaissance people who kind of do a lot of stuff and not just music, who kind of like explore other things. And I thought it was really cool that you're like this published poet. And so if you could just like maybe tell me a little bit about like, what do you have a specific style that you use, or are there specific subjects that inspire you that you like to use in your work, or is it just kind of like free for all, like whatever comes to my mind, I'm just going to talk about it? Is there anything like that you really love to talk about in your poetry?
I'm you know, after 14 books of poems, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't mean that in like a jackassy way. I'm the thing that interests me most are the poems that I'm working on right now, and I just finished a manuscript of poems called "The American Ruse," named after the MC5 song. But it's probably my most political book. It's probably a book in which I'm looking in some ways at the lies we tell ourselves, at the lies culture tells us, at the beliefs we have about this thing we call America. But I don't know what I'm writing about. I mean, what interests me about poetry is language. And so usually I get a little nip of language with an image. And it sort of, I can't get rid of it. And it stays with me, and it starts, it becomes a little magnet. It starts collecting the iron shards of language with it. So, you know, one of the best examples I have of this is a poem from my 2011 book, Vanishing Horizon. But I was walking down the hill. I was out of coffee. I don't know how that happens, but I was out of coffee. And I woke up in the morning and it was like, shit, how do I not have any coffee? So I started to walk down the hill to where the coffee shop was in town, and I passed St. Michael's Church, and there was a chestnut tree, an old chestnut tree, and it had dropped its chestnuts, and there were husks of chestnuts on the ground. They were empty. And so as I was walking down the hill, it was like the open husks of chestnuts. And I really kind of liked that little beat, that little 4-beat line with the in it. I was like, ooh, I like that. So now I'm going the open husk of chestnuts for the grounds of St. Mike's. Okay. And so I walk back and I'm saying this to myself. I'm like the guy you're not supposed to talk to on the streets because he's talking to him, he's muttering stuff. Nonsense. The open husk of chestnuts.
Whoa. You telling me that you didn't have coffee in the morning and you didn't yell, scream, curse, try to stab, injure, hurt anybody, scream or yell because you didn't get coffee in the morning? Is that a possibility?
I immediately went down the hill to get coffee, so I could avoid killing people.
You see?
So I'm going the open husk of chestnuts for the guys. And so I'm saying this, like I'm thinking, like what? And I go. The hollow space like a mouth agape. Ooh, there's another 4-beat line. And becomes AA. Now I'm really on it. And I'm like, okay, what else is empty? Well, so what starts to happen is I just start, you know, interrogating the poem. Like, what else is empty? What else is empty? What else is empty? I get home, the cat's like, feed me. My belly's empty. Meow, meow. And I'm like, shut up. I'm working on a poem, cat. Come on. So now I go, you know, the house space like a mouth agape, and I looked, and I was living alone at the time, and I sort of passed my bedroom, and I was like the bed when she said she was gone for good. Another 4-beat line. Okay, and I'm like, okay, now what else is empty? What else is empty? What else is empty? I don't know. The cat's like, my belly's empty, bastard. Feed me, meow. And I'm like, I'm trying to write a poem.
There's poem.
And then I said, like, the tomb of Jesus, the third day. And I said, I can't say that. And then I was like, why the fuck can't I say that? So
Ahead of Dan every day. No.
And so, so that's how a poem gets written for me. And I love language. I mean, what I love about writing lyrics is I'm doing something different with language than I do as a poet. I write fiction. I have a novel and a book of stories. I'm doing something different there. I love language. I mean, it's for me, it is so plastic. You could do so much with it. Talking to you, since you write poems, we talked about this. There's a real joy in just getting your hands in the mud of something. And for me, I get it in the mud of language. Other people get it, in flour and in sugar, and other people get it in paint.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really important to just. I'm blessed. I do things I love, and I get paid for it sometimes. And so, whether I'm writing song lyrics or whether I'm writing poems or whether I'm writing fiction, I'm just in that zone in which, holy shit, I'm playing with language, and people want to hear this or read this. Damn, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where could our viewers at home purchase your fine published poetry books? I actually check them out too.
They're mostly available. I mean, almost all of them are available on Amazon. And even though I hate to give the corporate entity of Amazon, it is the Godzilla of corporations now.
Yeah.
You could also go to my website, GerryLaFemina.com, and there are links to the books not to Amazon there. So you get them from the publishers or from other sources.
Awesome. Very good. Chivo, do you have a last?
Yes, I have a question for you, Gerry. All right, this is going to be a fun question. All right, next
They've
time.
all been fun.
Oh, okay, good.
Good.
So my question for you is this: if you want to give anybody or any one of those people or punks out there who are looking to now create a festival themselves, what pearls of wisdom can you share with them that you've learned in the past 5 years of doing this? And probably, but you've been doing this way before that, just gathering people and playing shows and stuff. What can you tell them if they want to do their own festival? What do you think the first top 3 to 5 things that they need to do or know or be prepared for to be able to do that for themselves?
First thing is, don't say you can't do it. Don't say you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to form a band, write a book, or you want to, learn to play an instrument, or you want to put on a punk festival, there are a whole bunch of people in the world who are going to tell you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fail by not doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. I think a lot of people want to do stuff like this, but are scared because they're told it's stupid or it's hard or it's impossible. It ain't hard enough. I mean, yeah, it's hard, but it ain't impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is, get a team. Don't think you can do it by yourself. One of the most important things about punk rock is the word scene. You need a venue. You need technical expertise. If I didn't have Charlie and Todd running sound, couldn't have done it. They make the band sound so good. Third thing is, if you want to start a festival, start regionally, start small. don't think, oh my God, I got to have $10,000 and I got to get this band or that band and this other band. You'll get there. If you had said 5 years ago, hey, in 5 years, you're going to have Richie Ramone coming and you're going to have had the Queers play. And I would have been like, no way. The first year, the biggest band that played was the Nuclears, and nobody had ever heard of them.
Nuclears are good too.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, they're really good.
Man, they're real good, and they're sweethearts.
They're really good.
They tore it up.
Yeah, we like them.
Yeah. So I think that's the third thing is build. You don't, do a festival one year. That's the Training Wheels Festival. Because that shows you'll learn more from what goes wrong at first festival than you will from going to festivals that go right. So do a Training Wheels Festival. Have at least put on a couple of shows so you know what to expect. And the last thing is the bands are your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Treat the bands well. It doesn't take much to get a pizzeria to supply some pizzas for the band. And if you treat the bands well, they will, and I don't mean money-wise. I just mean treat them with respect and dignity. I've been blessed. Bands give me a discount price because they know I'm going to treat them well. And they know I will never say to them, I've never once said to a band, I know I promised you X amount of dollars, but I can't pay you that. I've had to go to the ATM machine. I've had to take money out of my pocket. But I won't ever do that to a band. If I make a promise to you, now, I might, when I'm negotiating with a band, I might say, look, I don't know if I'm going to, your guarantee normally is $500. I don't know if I'm going to have that. Can we work it out to $350 and I'll get you a couple of hotel rooms?
Give you some gas money.
Right.
I'll siphon it for you. Don't worry.
Because I can get a local motel to give me 2 or 3 hotel rooms if I ask.
Right.
And the other thing is that like one of the things I don't do. I remember working with the agent of the Queers, and he was like, what's your fee for merch? What's your merch fee? Like, I don't take money from your merch, but there are a lot of venues who actually ask for 10% of merch sales. Wow. I would never do that. That's your money. That's your yeah, and that's why I don't do Savage Mountain merch. There's no Savage Mountain t-shirts for sale at the festival, no Savage Mountain patches. I do stickers and buttons. I give them away. I have as a fundraiser Savage Mountain shirts, but I don't sell anything that would compete with the band selling merch. I don't want to do that. You guys work hard. So I think those are the things. Don't say no to yourself. Get a team. Treat the bands well, and do a Training Wheel. Have a smaller festival. Don't try to jump full force. It's hard.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good. That's good insight. I like it. Thank you.
It's so inspiring to see that there's somebody like you who, is putting this all together and keeping this community together, and is really, punk rock was always supposed to be about helping people. It was always supposed to be about being good. And it's just so cool to see somebody like you and many other people we've met in our travels, that are really doing things without asking anything in return, just to help each other out, to help promote other bands or to help people sell the merch or whatever, gigs, podcasts, all kinds of stuff. So I am so glad that in this day and age where a lot of self-entitlement happens and a lot of self-centeredness happens, that there's still people like you who are really keeping that alive in the world. So you are very appreciated.
Thank you. You know what? I love the music. I love the band. I love you guys. I've made so many great friends from doing this. And what's amazing to me is that, I reached out to Joe Queer, 4 or 5 months after the festival. I said, "Hey, Joe, I'm doing some fundraisers. Will you send me some merch to raffle off?" And he was like, "What do you need?"
Yeah, he's good.
He's awesome.
Right, but a lot of times, there's never been a situation in which the bands haven't said, "I'm too good for this." And so, one of my things is I want to be with good people, and if a band is going to cause me drama, I'm not going to deal with it. And so, it's I appreciate everything you said, but it's part of something bigger than me. I feel that way about poetry. When I'm writing a poem, it's bigger than me. I'm just a conduit. The same with the festival.
Very cool.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to, as soon as Savage Mountain opens up, we will be there.
Yeah, we're
Can't wait. Next year, 2021, baby.
2021.
We're already there. We're already there.
The year of 2020. What a waste. What a waste.
Hey, I love the Lousies. Just remember that.
Yes.
You're our favorite
We'll take it,
All
man.
right.
I miss you guys.
We miss you, Jerry, man. Thank you. Hell yeah.
Any plugs you want to make before we go?
Yeah, give it to us.
Plug that you want to plug? Downstrokes, anything?
You know what? Let me first of all let me plug a lot of great bands real quick. Frostburg Band, Middle Age Brigade, they are great people. My good friends Ghost Road, horror punk from West Virginia, who do not wear the makeup or anything else. They just write spooky songs, no dress up, just straight ahead. Give a shout out to Stubbed Records, our record label. They are great. They're also sponsors of the festival. And to the Exiles in Frederick and the Lousekast in Baltimore. I'm going to leave people at the Mud City Manglers in Pittsburgh. I've already shouted them out, and the Nuclears in New York. My buddy Mike Ghost at Ghost Road is also the graphic designer for the festival. And so many others. They know I love them all. But thank you for this. Thank you to all the bands I've ever had a chance to play with. It's been an honor.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Hey, thank you so much,
Woo!
Jerry. And we
Thank
will see
you.
Lousy's out.
She's out.
Later, Lousies.
Hey guys, don't forget to check out Gerry LaFemina at Amazon for his spoken word poetry, and the Downstrokes, who are awesome.
You can check out. You can check
Bandcamp, Spotify,
Amazon, Apple Music,
Instagram, all the shenanigans. And then, of course, Savage Mountain. So
all right.
if you Google Savage Mountain, you'll see all the savagery.
You'll see this.
Savage
All
Mountain.
right. Yeah. It's all right. 1, 2, 3.
Get savage.
Lousy's out.
Lousy's out.
Woo!
Well, Louse is a pest. Or something annoying.
Lyses. Well, I don't know about lyses, but
Lyses. I got my lyses shot.
I don't know. I mean, I gotta check to see if I got any. No. I pray to God. No.